Recently, I got an interesting comment. Someone was wondering why it said invalid item type when they were putting soul cores in the reforging bench. Because for a lot of things in Path of Exile 2, you can take 3 of an item and get 1 of another random item from the same class. This took me down a rabbit hole that ended in me spending 3 million gold, 14,970 exalts, getting back about 138 divines, plus about 1,000 exalts, or around 26 divines in profit. Now, before I get into the video, before I talk about how this started, all that, big warning. This is gambling. You may gamble profitably, or you may lose money. Not only do you have to be aware of the fact that prices shift over time, you also need a lot of gold. As I said, I burned through 3 million doing this. And in addition to this, if you have a small sample size, you're at the mercy of variance. There was a time where I reforged over 300 soul cores and did not get a single good one back. In other words, for that entire time I lost money, and then I made up the profit later. If I find a really easy to reproduce money-making method, I'm going to make a video about it. So the best way to see it is get subscribed and ring that notification bell. Without further ado, let's get into things. So, the original question was about the Soul Core of Atmohua, Cholotl, or Zantipi. You cannot reforge these soul cores into a random soul core. I have no idea if this is intended or if this is a bug. However, you can reforge all the others, which is really important when most of the soul cores were available for 7 exalts each, but then the extremely valuable Soul Core of Azcapa was selling for about 3.1 divines. Now, the price of divines was a little bit unstable and kind of shifted while I was doing all this. For the sake of simplicity, throughout this video, I'm going to say divines are 125 exalts. In other words, 3.1 divines is about 390 exalts. So as long as you get 1 Azcapa for every 56 regular soul cores you buy, you're going to turn a profit, at least at those prices. Now, there are 15 different soul cores, meaning if it is unweighted, it is 1 in 15 to get Azcapa. It takes 3 soul cores to get 1. In other words, for every 45 that you do, provided you do this in big bulk, you will get back 1 Azcapa. Remember, the ratio for this to be profitable was 55, not 45. Admittedly, the math does get a little bit complicated, because after you take all of your soul cores, say I bought 1,000 of them, I would get 333 back. I'd save the Azcapas and the Cholotls, the 2 that are actually more valuable than the 7 Exalts each. All the others, I would then reforge again, meaning they're reduced to a third of their size. So let's just say there were 30 good ones, 300, now it goes down to 100. Then you take those 100, you remove the good ones, and you reforge it down, so on and so forth, meaning you can actually get a couple more Azcapa. So, I want to do a short little demonstration of the entire process. First up, go to the currency exchange. What do I have? Exalted orbs. What do I want? Soul cores. Let's just say this one. Doesn't actually matter which one. It's just about checking prices. So in this case, there's a couple for 6.33. There's a lot for 7. Maybe you want to shop around, try to get a good deal. Well, that's not going to be a good deal. That one actually has a price. Maybe this one. It's a little more expensive still. The Huarte, a little more expensive. See, that's the thing. These prices are very volatile. All right, here we go. This one, there's a whole bunch. How many X do I have? I have plenty of X. So I will do, what, 210. Which, I don't quite have enough X for that. Whoops. All right, let's try 180. I'm really bad at math. Okay, I'll go 120. I definitely have enough. Yes. So I'm spending 840x for 120 Soul Core of Topotante. Place order. I have the 120 Soul Core of Topotante. I put these in. I click Reforge. Did not give me what I wanted. All right, that one's worth putting aside because it sells for more than all the others. Oh, look, I got a Topotante for my Topotante. That is just 66% less value. Basically, every time you click this, you lose money until you hit Azcapa. In this case, I hit it relatively quickly. Remember, you are not always going to hit it that quickly. So I'm just going to click through. Those are all gone. That was 30 Soul Cores. Oh, second Azcapa. We need to hit 3 to break even / make a small profit. So here's hoping that we actually hit 3. Whoops. Good old misclick on the Reforge button. Hit 3. I know this looks like, oh, it's free money. It's totally insane. But there is way more variance. There are times where I clicked 300 Soul Cores in my larger sample tests, and I did not get a single Azcapa. So for every time you get a bunch in a row, there's a time where you're going to go dry. And as you can see, a lot of these are going dry. So I'm just going to click through, get rid of the rest of these. I would not be surprised if I do not hit another Azcapa throughout the demonstration. And the other fun thing that you can do is you can start consolidating all the ones that you randomly rolled. So, for example, 3 of these, 1 random one. 3 of these, 1 random one. And you just repeat this until you don't have 3 of any of them anymore. Oh, look, Azcapa, bonus money. This is a pretty lucky run so far. Okay. Oh, that's one of the base types that cannot be converted over. Bahuarte, and I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So, with 4 Azcapa, it's time to sell them. Now, I could sell them for Exalted Orbs. Looks like they're about 390 Exalts. I know this says 359. Oh, 365. It's constantly changing, but that's also people trying to buy, and it's a ratio of it. It shifts over time. I always like to check both the what I want and what I have to get a better picture of the market. Alternatively, you can sell them directly for divines. And in terms of a price difference, or I guess I should say the gold price difference, selling them for Exalts, 175,200 gold. So a lot of gold. Selling for divines, let's just pretend for a minute that this is ideal, which it's not. Ideally, you'd want more so you can hit that 3.17 instead of 3.25. But who knows? Maybe checking the what I want. Oh, look. Some people are trying to go 3.4, so the 3.25 is actually not that bad. It'll just take a little bit longer. 3.17 is the price at which you would sell instantly. But it's a lot less gold. So you just do that, and you wait for it to sell. Once it does, you could convert those divines. Oops, I've done this backwards. You could convert those divines back into Exalts. This will cost you a lot of gold. Or alternatively, you could try buying Soul Cores directly for divines. Problem with this, you're getting relatively few Soul Cores. You're getting 16 for 1 divine. So 125 divided by 16, that is about 7.8 Exalts per, which is pretty unfavorable. Soul Core of Tikati getting, okay, 6.5. So actually, Soul Core of Tikati, those 38 that are in stock, great buy. Sometimes you find great buys. And oh, look, we got some Divine Orbs. So that was a really easy flip. The original, if I'm remembering correctly, was 840x. which is about 6.7 divines. Got back 13 because we got very, very lucky. That is about the best case scenario I've done from any of my tests so far. And I think it makes for a very good demonstration. But let's zoom out for a little bit and take a look at the numbers from my much larger sample tests. That does not count this demonstration, which I recorded for this video. Now, interestingly enough, I bought 2,160 Soul Cores, and I ended up with 46 Azcapa and 68 Cholotl. If it was exactly 1 in 15, these Cholotls almost bang on. The Azcapa's low, but I could have just gotten unlucky. Where things get really interesting isn't actually the math for how many of each dropped, it's how much is it worth. So, 2,160 Soul Cores cost me around 15,000 Exalted Orbs. Yes, I was buying them in Exalt because that had a better ratio than Divines. But if you want to convert it to Divines, it's about 120. It also cost me around 3 million gold. So if you don't have a lot of gold, this isn't going to work very well, even if you have the Divines to ride out the variance. And the total return, 138 Divines, 950, which I feel pretty comfortable rounding up to 1,000 Exalts, which is about 26 Divines in profit. And this whole thing took me about a half hour, meaning this is 51 Divines an hour, except not really, because there's no way you could keep getting gold to fuel it without spending huge amounts of money. And also, the market does not hold when you just delete tons of items. I mean, think about it. I started with 2,160 Soul Cores, and I ended with about 100. So 95% of those Soul Cores no longer exist in the game. Oh, and also, it was really fucking boring. I don't know. I really don't like sextant rolling from PoE 1 because it was extremely boring. It was always very profitable. You'd make absurd profit margins, but I hated it. And this feels very much the same. One other thing to note is, as I was doing this, there's a 30-ish Exalt price differential in the value of Azcapas in Exalt versus Divines that may have played a role, although that gap pretty quickly closed when I was about halfway through my test, so I don't know if that actually did anything. If anything, I kind of just started doing it because I was curious if they were evenly weighted, and then I got very bored and realized it was also kind of a good way to convert gold into something that you can actually trade with other players. But again, I know I've said this a few times. I'm going to say it again. Might even say it one more time before the end of a video. This is gambling. This is just straight up gambling. If you only have 10 Divines to your name, you are just as likely to do this and end up with 6 Divines as you are to do this and end up with 13. Also, prices are constantly shifting. That ratio of 7 Exalts to 3.1 Divines, that was the ratio when I did this. But if you're watching this video and you go to the currency exchange and you see that, oh, well, right now the market ratio is 9 Exalts for a Soul Core. And then the Azcapas are down to 2.5 Divines because a bunch of people decided to go farm for them. Well, that might not be worth it anymore. In fact, it might mean you're guaranteed to lose money. Then again, who knows? Maybe when you're watching this, there's such a demand for Magic Find that Soul Core of Azcapa is now 5 Divines, and the other Soul Cores have gone down to 6 Exalts each, making this insanely profitable. So, if you want to see me gamble on something else, check out a video where I did 100 T4 Zests. People have really been enjoying that one. If you want to see something that is not a gamble, learn how to craft your gear, or just sell it for a profit, then check out how to craft Energy Shield gear. I'll link to both of those up in the card and down below. On the other hand, I'm kind of curious, have you been gambling in Path of Exile 2? If so, what were the results? Did you lose all your money? Did you hit it big? What were you gambling on? And what do you want to gamble on in the future? Let me know down below. Also, since you made it to the end, you probably enjoyed the video, why not leave a like while you're down there? For now, I'm going to get going because I want to actually get some footage together and record some stuff on my build. But thank you very much for watching to the end. I'm glad you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.